Very cold with clear skies across most of England, Wales and Scotland with widespread frost. Also some fog patches, some of it freezing. A low of a possible -9 for Scotland and -4 elsewhere. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Holly Jones.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation. LBC's Election Call with Eddie Mair.
Every Monday to Thursday at 6, Election Call, where I shut up and you speak to the politicians. Tonight, Damian Green from the Conservatives. He was the first Secretary of State and Minister for the Cabinet Office, and he was Secretary of State for Work and Pensions under Theresa May. You might, as I said, want to talk to him about pensions or business or Brexit, but it's whatever you want. It's your election call to Damian Green from the Conservatives. 0345 60 60 973. You can text 84850, tweet at LBC. We're live on LBC and you can watch the whole of Election Call. Watch it on the LBC website, lbc.co.uk. You can also watch us too on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and on Viewmasters, manufactured before 1962. Your election call to Damian Green, 0345 60 60 973. You're very welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm enjoying the wonderful, balmy English weather in a November and December election campaign.
Would you like it if the Fixed Term Parliament Act dictated elections were always just before Christmas?
I think that both I and the public would deeply welcome that. No, thank you. I think there's a reason we normally have elections in May.
Let's get to the phones then. Colin is first in Salisbury. Colin, you're through to Damian Green.
Hello, Damian.
Hello, Colin.
Hi there. Well, I confess that I lean towards voting Conservative typically. I've one big concern. I'd kind of probably like Conservatives to win the election on balance, partly due to Brexit and partly due to a number of other issues where, for me, they would be what I would prefer. But for me, the one big issue, and for me it is the most important issue facing the country, probably bigger than Brexit, is housing. I'm not hearing a lot from the Conservatives in terms of what they're going to do about housing, and I fear that housing, if Jeremy Corbyn realises it, and maybe he has realised it, is probably the number one killer issue on which he could possibly win the election.
Colin, tell me why it's of such concern to you.
Sorry, say again?
Why is it of such concern to you?
Well, I have children who can't afford a house, and I know that it is a huge issue for an awful lot of young people.
All right, Colin, stay on the line and listen to the answer from Damian Green.
Hi, Colin. Yes, you're right. Housing is a huge issue, especially for young people, especially in big cities where housing obviously tends to be more expensive. It's a sort of oil tanker to turn around, basically, and the government is turning it round. We're now building more houses than we have been in recent years. There's always a balance to be struck about how you build new houses and where you build new houses. There's obviously great sensitivities about building over green fields, but the truth is, for 20 years probably, we haven't been building enough houses, and to some extent that's driven the unaffordability of housing for young people. So, I mean, the simple answer is we need more houses, and how do you do that? You do things to the planning system so that people don't have to wait huge amounts of time to get planning decisions. You do it in a controlled way. You encourage local authorities to have proper local plans so that you don't have the permanent friction of, if you like, existing residents saying we don't want any more houses here because they're in the wrong place. But also, in the end, if I appreciate young people do, the desire for home ownership is as strong among 20-somethings as it was among 40, 50 and 60-somethings when they were 20-something. That hasn't gone away, and therefore you need an economy where interest rates are low, where as we know, there are more people in work than ever before, so that people can actually afford and to take out long mortgages. So,
would you like to see house prices fall?
I don't think they need to fall.
Well, that would be a great way of making them more affordable, wouldn't it?
It would make them more affordable, but
the
risk
way of making them more affordable, surely.
Sorry?
And surely that's the only way of making them more affordable. The problem isn't so much the upfront problem isn't whether there are or aren't enough houses. The problem is that houses are too expensive. Maybe the only answer through the market is to build more houses, but the actual problem confronted by people is the price of housing. So to say house prices don't need to fall means that doesn't provide a way out. If house prices don't fall by 30 to 50%, young people won't be able to afford a house.
But if
kind of as simple as that.
Well, in some areas, I think, the truth is there isn't a housing market across the country. There are hundreds of different housing markets. Absolutely, in London, prices have gone up hugely over the past decade, but that's less true, certainly in my constituency and in other parts of the country. I think what you need, the reason why I tie it into the wider economy is that if you have real wages rising, if wages are rising faster than inflation, and in particular if wages are rising faster than house price inflation, then they become more affordable over time, and people can see.
Well, that's over quite a long time, isn't it? I think Colin's point is a lot of young people need a fix very soon.
Well, the problem with Colin's suggestion that house prices need to come down 50%, that would cause severe problems for millions of current homeowners, and you have to try and be fair to all generations in this. You can't just say to somebody, I'm sorry, young people can't get in the housing ladder, we're going to halve the value of your house. I'm not quite sure how a government would achieve this, though I'm tempted to dilate upon Jeremy Corbyn's economic policies, which might achieve that. But I don't think that that's a sensible way of making housing more affordable. I think increasing the supply, I think making sure that real wages are rising, as they have been in the past couple of years, thankfully, is the long-term way to have a stable housing market.
Yeah. Colin, you want to come back in?
Yeah, I partly agree. You're right. That is a long-term answer. It might take 10 to 15 years, though, which is too late for my children, too late for an awful lot of people. What I feel that Corbyn could do, I don't think any Conservative government would do, is to buy up a load of land which is not designated as being housing land, not land with no possibility of planning permission, immediately grant planning permission and build on it. That way Corbyn could build a lot of houses very cheaply, and yes, with the probable effect of a significant fall in house prices, that being the only way to help my children and many others. And that will have an effect on pushing people into negative equity. It will also do a lot of damage to the banks, cause an awful lot of problems. But, to me, the bigger problem is the problem of the vast numbers of people who can't afford a roof over their heads.
All right, Colin, that's your point well made. Peter is next in Oxford. You're through to Damian Green, Peter.
Hello, Mr. Green.
Hello, Peter.
Pleasure talking to you. How are you doing? The reason I'm phoning you is because I think you and I agree on a lot of things. And in particular, I agree with you when you repeatedly and strongly said that the future for the UK was in the European Union. Now, I think the Tory party is divided in two. On the one hand, many principal members like Damian Green, Dominic Grieve, and others who have stood by their principles. And although it's cost them dearly, they are now continuing to campaign for what they've always believed in. And then others who, because of a disputed and non-binding referendum, have decided to throw in the towel. Now, I think you know yourself that there are two important pieces of information. One, the impact assessments on Boris Johnson's deal, which remain undisclosed. And secondly, the Commons Committee on Security's report on Russian interference, which again is available to publish but remains unpublished. Now, both of those, I think, cast a seriously adverse light on the government's behaviour, and both are being withheld. I think the government must believe that the British public are not in any way curious.
What's your question, Peter?
My question is, how do you justify the withholding of this information, given where you've come from in your own political life?
Well, I justified my position on Brexit quite simply because I'm a Democrat. As you say, I campaigned for Remain, but we lost.
I think he's asking, forgive me for interrupting, he's asking about the non-publication of the impact assessments and the report on Russian interference.
Well, there's two separate things there. There are various impact assessments, and asking economists to predict the future is fine. They'll give you their best guess, but that's what it is. I think that. The other point I would always make and have been making consistently is that it's much better to leave with a deal than without a deal. Boris has got a deal, we can put that through Parliament if we've got a working Conservative majority.
But if you're going to put together impact assessments, why don't we wait to see them?
Well, I mean, there have been innumerable published, frankly, I don't think there's any magic about a Treasury impact assessment as opposed to any other economist impact assessment.
Okay, the Russian
report. The Russian point, it is fair. Well, as I understand it, it's going through the normal procedures. You don't normally publish reports like this during an election campaign. There is this period of purdah that we have. And so that it's just going through normal processes. I think the wider point that Peter is making that somehow we should ignore the result of the referendum is wrong. I just disagree as a Democrat. I think we can't do that. And I also think that, and interesting, this is feedback I've been getting for months now from businesses as well, that those who are saying, the worst thing of all, those who are anti-Brexit are now saying, look, it's got to happen. It's the uncertainty that's actually damaging business now. Right. They want Brexit done. They want us to move on to the next stage. That's what we can offer.
Let me bring Peter back in. What do you think of the answers, Peter?
The two parts of my question are linked. I think if the impact assessments were published and demonstrated, as I believe they might well do, that the whole outcome of the referendum was seriously questionable. And the courts indeed have found that they would have cancelled this result had it been binding. In the case of an election, it would have been found highly questionable. So I'm challenging you to say that this referendum really is an accurate reflection of public opinion, given the fact that nearly all public opinion polls in the last year have been in favour of remaining, and that people have a right to change their minds. The other thing about impact assessments is that, of course, impact assessments, as published, all agree with economists' view that Brexit is bad for the country. There has been an impact assessment on Theresa May's deal, and let's face it, in terms of the impact on England, there's very little difference between that and what Boris Johnson is now proposing. Theresa May could have had this deal back on the 5th of December 2017, when she signed up to something with Juncker, which, as you know, she had to step back from because of the DUP. She was too honourable to proceed with the kind of deal that Boris Johnson is now putting forward. So to say there's some kind of a gain or a victory, I think, is misleading.
All right. Damian Green?
Well, I think I'm afraid I just disagree with the central premise that somehow the referendum should be ignored. I think it was a huge democratic exercise. I, at the time, of course, regretted the result. As I say, I campaigned for Remain.
And do you agree with Peter's point that most opinion polls show Remain ahead and have done for a while?
Well, I just remember that most opinion polls showed Remain ahead up to and including the day of the referendum when the Remain side lost. So I think to say opinion polls show something, therefore we should negate the effect of a public vote is wrong and also slightly dangerous for democracy. As I say, I think the overwhelming response from the public now is get on with it, get Brexit done, make sure that we don't keep going round this circle. And the problem is, and that's actually one of the stark choices of this election, that you will get Brexit done with a Conservative government. If you have anything else, you probably will have another referendum as well as a Scottish referendum, and we'll lose 2020. We'll keep going round the same circle. And I can tell you business would find that appalling.
All right. Thank you for now. Damian Green from the Conservatives here till 7. And this is your opportunity to ask the questions about what matters to you. Forget what pundits normally talk about. It's down to you. 0345 6060 973. Whatever you're passionate about, call Damian Green. 6:17, here's Holly with more LBC News.
Party leaders have been addressing business leaders with their pledges for the general election. Two teenagers who murdered 17-year-old Jodie Chesney in East London have been jailed for life with a minimum of 44 years between them. There are growing calls for Prince Andrew to testify in the US about his friend Jeffrey Epstein following a TV interview. LBC weather very cold with clear skies across most of England, Wales and Scotland with a widespread frost. Also some fog patches, some of it freezing. A low of between -4 and -9.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are queues on the M40 southbound. 2 lanes are closed because of an accident at Junction 3 for Loudwater. There are delays on the M20 eastbound because of an accident in the roadworks. That's between Junction 3 for the M26 and Junction 4 for Leybourne. 1 lane is closed there. On the M4 westbound, there's also a lane closed. That's because of an accident before Junction 6 for Slough, so there are queues from the M25. On the M25 anti-clockwise, there are delays heading to Junction 29 for Romford after an accident earlier. There are queues in Mottingham. Baring Road is closed both ways between LeMay Avenue and Sandstone Road because of an accident. And in Romford on the A12, Eastern Avenue going out of town, there are still queues. That's because of a police investigation after Pettit's Lane North.
LBC.
Going, gone.
Some things just don't hang around. Like a great deal in Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Right now you can get the Samsung Galaxy S10 for just $29.99 a month. But this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Catch it before it's gone. Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £35.99, now £29.99. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
This is LBC.
Dreaming of a new kitchen or bathroom? At Wix, we take care of everything. From design experts through to an installation service you can trust. And now there's great sale offers in our kitchen and bathroom showroom, including a third off kitchen units. For more details on all our offers and to book your free design appointment, visit wix.co.uk.
Welcome back, Mr. Jones. How was your Touareg 48-hour test drive? Mr. Jones, I said, how was the test drive?
Fantastic, thank you.
What did you make of the Touareg's touchscreen Innovision cockpit?
Brilliant.
And the climate control massage seats?
Oh, marvellous.
How about the night vision camera?
Absolutely exceptional.
That's great. So, are you going to unlock the door?
No.
The Volkswagen Touareg 48-hour test drive. The hardest part will be giving it back.
Come on, Mr. Jones, open up.
Can't hear you.
Participating retailers only, subject to status, vehicle availability and retailer T&Cs. And 17th of December 2019.
Are you getting a train over Christmas and New Year? If you are, here's some important news from us at Network Rail. As part of our ongoing work to improve the railway, we're carrying out essential rail upgrades from December the 20th to January the 2nd. This means your usual train might be on a different schedule or not even running. We do extra work on the lines over Christmas and New Year to avoid disrupting people when it's busier. So, to make sure you arrive when you really need to, please check before you travel.
We all enjoy a good debate. The livelier the better. But occasionally, you need more than mixed opinions. At Barnes Rofe Accountants, you can trust our expert independent advice on all your business accounts and tax affairs. Because sometimes, only an expert has the answer. For a free meeting to discuss your accounting and tax needs, search Barnes Rofe. Barnes Rofe. Clever accountants for business.
Final call for passengers on flight BU 372 to Berlin.
The average time between a final call and boarding is 4 minutes and 53 seconds. An unofficial fact officially brought to you by Betfair Casino. Because when there's a chance... Perfect. There's always a chance. Make the most of any chance with 30 free spins. Betfair Casino. Play today.
Free spins apply to new Betfair Casino customers only. Available on selected games. T's and C's at betfair.com. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
LBC's Election Call. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC. Call 0345 6060 973. LBC's Election Call with Eddie Mair.
It's Damian Green for the Conservatives tonight, and Andrew is next in Coventry. Andrew, what's your question, please?
Hi, good evening, Eddie. Hi. Good evening, Mr. Green. Thank you for taking my call. My question is around the child maintenance service that used to fall under Mr. Green and the DWP. I just wanted to know if the Conservatives are re-elected, whether there's any possibility it could be looked at. My situation is that I actually don't get to see my children anymore because the way that it's calculated, my ex-wife would rather keep them with her now at weekends because it means that she earns more money. And I just think it's really, really needs to be looked at.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Damian Green.
Sure. Well, I mean, as you say, I used to be responsible for it when I was Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, and the Child Maintenance Service and its predecessor is always being looked at because it is such an important and sensitive part of, both of policy, but also of people's lives, and it's really important. I must say, as you describe your situation, Andrew, it sounds like, if you have an access agreement in the courts, then you should have contact with your children anyway. That wouldn't be directly concerned with the Child Maintenance Service. They don't supervise contact arrangements as such. That should be a court order. But I'm not a lawyer, and I'm treading on difficult ground there. But I mean, absolutely, it's a permanent source of friction, I know, sadly, for many families, and making sure, on both sides really, that both parents actually pay the appropriate amount of money, and at the same time that they both get the appropriate amount of contact. Is too often when I'm afraid relationships are broken down, that proves very difficult. But it's very important that we keep trying to improve the system.
On to text and tweets. Damian, I'm a One Nation centre ground Tory and Remainer. I do not recognise your party. I do not see any benefits in leaving the EU. How should I vote in the general election?
You should vote Conservative. I'm a One Nation Conservative as well. Indeed, I chair the One Nation caucus.
But you're going to, quote unquote, get Brexit done. This person wants to remain.
Well, as I say, part of the Conservative bit of being a One Nation Conservative is that you respect democracy. And as a Democrat, I respect the result of the referendum.
Well, here we have another democratic exercise coming, and this listener wants to remain, but they're Tory in their hearts. How should they vote?
Well, they should vote Conservative, because those of us who campaign for Remain have to accept the result as it was. It will be much better for the country if we leave with a deal. There is a deal available so that we can leave smoothly, so that we can then move on to trade negotiations in a friendly way, so that we can keep the things we need to keep, negotiate in a friendly way with the European Union, so that we can maintain the close relations on things like security that we want, on things like the education exchanges we have, all those many, many important things that we will continue to have in common with neighbouring friendly democracies, but from the outside, because that's what the British people have instructed us to do.
John Webb on Twitter says, Eddie, stop him saying get Brexit done. He's already mentioned it 3 times. It does not get it done. It's a nonsensical statement. And Tony in Cornwall text to say, how long will it take to get Brexit done? We have years of this ahead, don't we?
No, we have. This stage of Brexit, actually leaving, if we have a Conservative government with a working majority, and we only need 9 more seats to get that, then we will get that done by the end of January. And then we have to negotiate the trade deal.
That's 3 years?
Well, no, it shouldn't do, because, for various reasons. First of all, it's unlike any other trade deal ever, because never before have people negotiated a trade deal where they start from identical positions. Literally all our trade rules now are the EU trade rules.
So December 2020 then?
Yes.
Definitely?
Yes, that's
trade agreement done by then. That's a Conservative promise.
That's
it's the aim.
Well,
right.
I'm not a member of the government, so I can't make promises on behalf of the government. But that's the aim.
But even when
and
the government makes
doable,
promises,
but seriously, it is doable, because, as you say, it's unique. From any other trade deal where people start from different positions.
Because you couldn't name one that's been done in that length of time, could you?
No, absolutely. No. That's what I say. That's why genuinely this one's unique, because you've never had an occasion like this before where people are leaving a trading bloc with all the rules identical and saying, what do we want to keep and what do we want to change?
All right. Fiona's next in Cornwall. Hi, Fiona. You're through to Damian Green.
Hello, Mr. Green. I wonder if you can help me with this question. I would like to know why I should vote for you, your party. I'm a 50s waspy lady. I've had now 3 hikes to my pension, along with a lot of other ladies of my age group. I've now got to wait till I'm 66. I was supposed to retire at 60. It then went to 63, and now I've got to wait to 66. Can you tell me what help you are going to give us, and also why we should vote for you?
Generally you should vote Conservative because we will have a more united country. We will have a better economy.
All right, deal with the tricky part of the question.
Absolutely, I'll come on directly to the pension issue. That in general, if we carried on with the old pension ages, then the choice we would have to take would be to pay people their state pension, on which some people depend entirely to live, a much smaller amount than we can do. Because we're all living longer, and if you're born today, you're likely to live into your 90s, the old idea of the old age pension, where frankly it was designed in the 19th century to give people a few years of money from the taxpayer before they died has gone completely out the window. A lot of people spend a third of their life getting the state pension. So if you want the state pension to be at a decent level to allow people dignity in old age, then you have to increase the age at which we all start receiving
You're
it.
explaining carefully the thinking behind the policy, but you're not dealing with Fiona's central question, which is how the change in policy is affecting thousands of women.
Well, it was a policy first announced in 1995, and there have been, I know, constant rows ever since about who knew what when and who was told. But we are now, literally nearly a quarter of a century since the policy was announced.
What can you do to help Fiona?
Well, I can just say to Fiona that you will get a better state pension than you would have done before, quite considerably better, because of this change of policy, and also separately to address the other part of your question, that the triple lock of pension increases that the coalition government and the Conservative government have kept to over recent years mean that when you get the pension, it will be much better. That we are driving out pensioner poverty, which is tremendously good for everyone. And I'm sorry, you and many others have been part of the generation that has seen the pension age rise. But if we didn't do that, then the old age pensions the country could afford to pay would not keep people in dignity.
Fiona, I want you to come back on that. What do you think?
I'm sorry, I don't really buy it. First of all, I didn't get any warning like they said we were going to do. Nothing was publicised. It's gone up to 2011. It went up again, and it's still going up now. I have put in so much money to this pension scheme. I've worked for 45 years of my life, and I have not seen anything back. I am now too ill to work. I don't get anything else. What about the other ladies who are still waiting? It's not on. I mean, the SNP are prepared to help. What are the Tories going to do? Why should I vote for Tory party? I accept the fact that it had to go up. I'm not saying there shouldn't be equalisation in the age, although I have never been treated in the jobs I've ever had as an equal, and I resent that happening. I wouldn't have had a problem with 63. I could have coped with that. But I've still got 2 years to go. What am I supposed to do? I've put in more than 35 years that is now required. I've done 45, along with a lot of other ladies that have done 45. By the time some of us have got to 66, we'll have done 50 years. That's half our life. I don't buy the fact that the people are living longer. That isn't our problem. We've put that money in, and where has it gone? We've put NI money into that pot. Where has that money gone? That's what I'd like to know.
I mean, the money, straightforwardly, Fiona, is going on pensions, and I'm afraid it is just. I'm not afraid people are living longer. It's great that people are living longer.
Have some water. You sound like you're not going to live any longer.
It's the campaign cold. But that's where it's going. We are spending more than £100 billion a year on pensions.
Well, it's Fiona's money,
as we should do.
Not all of it, but some of it's hers, and she's wondering.
It's all our money, and we will get some of it. I absolutely take the point, incidentally, Fiona. I completely agree about the way women were treated in the workforce until recent years, and were not given equality. That was terrible. Society has changed that. Various laws have been changed. We're still not there, but we're getting there. So that is something that has improved. But as I say, the central point is that I'm afraid as long as people are living longer, and therefore the number of people receiving the state pension is going up and up and up, and you can draw lines to show how far it's going to go up over the next 20 or 30 years, to keep the pension at a level that gives people dignity in old age, I'm afraid the pension age has had to increase.
Fiona, thank you very much for the question. What's your election call to Damian Green? from the Conservatives. Here's the number, 0345 6060 973. Call us now, we're here till 7. 6:32 now. Here's Holly with more news.
Liberal Democrat leader Jo Swinson has told business leaders her party would help them by reversing Brexit. Boris Johnson has promised the Conservatives would cut business rates, while Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has set out his party's plans to create a climate apprenticeship programme. 2 teenagers have been jailed for at least 44 years between them for the murder of Jodie Chesney in a park in East London. The 17-year-old was stabbed as she was sitting with friends in Harold's Hill in March. Students at the University of Huddersfield are voting on a motion to lobby the Duke of York to resign as its Chancellor. It follows Prince Andrew's TV interview about his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The university's released a statement in support of the Prince, saying he has long ties with them. LBC weather: very cold with clear skies across most of England, Wales and Scotland, with a widespread frost. Also some fog patches, some freezing. A low of between -4 and -9.
This is LBC.
Follow live continuous coverage of LBC election 2019.
We'll examine the party policies and check the facts.
Hearing from you about the issues that matter.
I really don't know. Don't want to waste my vote because it means so much right now.
Plus, get all the news you need about the general election in 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, on LBC's brand new sister station, LBC News.
And from now until polling day, LBC's range of podcasts will be speaking directly to those fighting for power. Listen on Global Player or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't miss a moment. LBC election 2019.
According to Scotland Yard, the crime took place at 24 Culver Street, Paddington. The murdered woman was a Mrs. Lyon. In connection with the murder, the police are anxious to interview a man seen in the vicinity wearing a dark overcoat, light scarf, and soft felt hat.
And so the trap is set. From the mind of Agatha Christie comes a whodunit like no other. The Mousetrap, only at St Martin's Theatre. See it now. Keep the secret forever.
Your company's doing pretty well. Your tax position's okay. So what's keeping you awake at night?
To face the future with confidence, talk to Vision Consulting. We've expanded from Gants Hill to the Gherkin, with clients from the fishmonger to the multi-million-pound property investment company. And our growth as a firm of chartered accountants and registered auditors is based on our passion for our clients' business.
Have confidence in your accountant. See visionconsulting.co.uk.
What matters most to you? Saving money or helping the environment? With Evergreen Power, you can do both. Insulating your home with soft spray foam insulation will keep the heat in your home this winter like never before, with its air barrier seal. Reducing airborne noise, condensation, damp and mould, your loft will be transformed into a dry, usable space, while cutting your heating bills and carbon footprint, so helping the planet. For a free survey, search Evergreen Power.
Barbershop singers from Gloucestershire, with a joint mortgage and a credit card for over a year. Has an Experian credit score of 862, and to his friends he goes by the name of Hugh.
At Experian, we use your credit history to help find deals that are right for you and only you. Hugh. Experian Limited is a credit broker, not a lender. T's and C's apply.
Sharing a Lebanese dining experience is always an extraordinary occasion at Crocker's Folly. Your intimate meal, celebration or corporate event will create amazing memories for up to 200 people. If you're hungry for a unique dining experience that's the talk of the town, there's a table waiting for you at Crocker's Folly, a member of the legendary Marouche Restaurant Family Group on Aberdeen Place, St John's Wood. Book now at marouche.com.
Hey phone, connect to Wi-Fi.
Connecting to cyber criminals.
You're not listening. I said Wi-Fi.
I'm listening. Cyber criminals could be too. Using Wi-Fi could leave your personal data exposed.
How can I keep it private?
With a secure VPN that encrypts your data, you need new Norton 360. It has multiple layers of protection, including VPN, device security, password manager, and more.
Ooh.
Go to uk.norton.com to get all-in-one protection starting at $24.99 for your first year. Terms apply. That's uk.norton.com.
LBC's Election Call with Eddie Mair.
Damian Green from the Conservatives here with LBC's Election Call. We're here every Monday to Thursday from 6 o'clock. David is in Enfield. David, what do you want to say? What do you want to ask?
Good evening, Eddie.
Hi.
Good evening, Mr. Green.
Hello.
My concern is that we've had 8 years of austerity since the Conservatives came to power in 2010. And since 2010, the national debt of the country has nearly doubled. It's gone from £1 trillion to £1.8 trillion. And we can throw in another couple of $100 billion for private finance initiative debt that's still outstanding. That means every household in the country today, 26 million households, owes £70,000 on the national debt. And the interest is running at £50 billion a year, which is more than the Defence Department. So what has been the point? My question to you is, what has been the point of 8 years of austerity if you've doubled the debt and you still haven't got the annual budget balanced?
Well, we've got it much closer to balance, and as long as you've got any deficit at all, obviously the total level of debt goes up. What's important in an overall economy is to make sure that you can service the debt. It's what we all learn as households. You have to be able to service your mortgage or whatever other debts that you have. And we've now, because of tough decisions, necessary tough decisions that were taken early on in 2010, we've got that deficit down to a level where we can service the debt, and that we can move out of, if you like, the age of austerity into something where we can set about dealing with people's priorities, like the NHS and extra police and so on, that will be happening over the next few years.
And what's your massive spending increase going to do for the national debt, which you doubled?
Well, because if we have a growing economy, and because we're not spending as much money,
it's going to have to grow at a hell of a rate to pay off the national debt.
Unemployment debt. Well, one of the big benefits that will help the economy grow will be a Brexit deal, because it's the uncertainty that's holding back a lot of investment. When that investment comes in, we will get an immediate improvement, and a lot of the money that we want to spend is on infrastructure that will make the economy more productive, so that will increase the growth rate, so that we will be able to afford all the extra health spending and so on that we've promised.
David, what do you think of the answers?
I think it's rubbish. I think the economic management of the economy, and I'm a moderate conservative, and one of my principles is fiscal discipline. I think the management of the economy has been a disaster. If you look at the real figures and go past all the observation, real wages today, adjusted for inflation, weekly wages, and these are the government's own figures, Office of National Statistics, are just getting back to the level they were in 2008. So you've had 10 years actually, of real wage stagnation. You've had a national debt that's doubled. We're still running a budget deficit, and you've got a record balance of payments deficit. And you've got a growth rate now that's running about 0.5% compared to 3% back in 2012. So how can this be considered any sort of success?
Well, the fact is that the country was broke when the financial crisis hit in 2008. So, as I said, tough decisions had to be taken, and that's why real wages fell for a number of years. They've now, for the past year and a half or so, been going up again. So people are now seeing the benefit of that in their pay slips every month. So real wages are rising again. That will encourage consumer confidence. That will encourage growth again. So steering the economy is never easy, but it has gone through a tremendous storm. We're now coming out the other side, and as I say, it's I think the total level of debt is less important than the ability of the country to service it while spending the money effectively, and that's what we're seeking to do.
David, thank you for the call. Mark is next. What's your question for Damian Green, Mark?
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. Just very quickly, going back on housing, Damian, you did actually, the Conservative government said in 2015 you'd build 200,000 starter homes. The ONS has just reported you've built exactly none. So I think we can take that any promise you make, you tend to break. But my question is about the document produced by the Conservative Party, which is forwarded by Sajid Javid, the man who says he wants to be our next Chancellor. In that document, you claim that the cost of labour will be £1.2 trillion. That has been totally debunked by myself, by reading the 35 pages, and I won't get that back in my life, by people like Full Facts, who pointed out that you've double counted the cost of nationalisation. You use figures which include costings that Labour have not committed themselves to. It also includes, you've overpriced the 2007 Labour manifesto by nearly £300 billion, and according to your figures, £85 billion will be the cost of the 4-day week from Labour, but that's been based on the fact that will happen the day after they come into Parliament.
What's your question, Mark?
My question is, would you like to disassociate yourself from that basically tissues of lies? And to be honest, your leader, who was again lying today, who then said that Labour would bring corporation tax up to the highest level in Europe, which of course is total nonsense because it's 34% in France, where Labour are saying they'd take it to 26%.
So Labour would only add 7% to corporation tax, taking money away from businesses.
His point was Boris Johnson lied about the figure.
His point was Boris Johnson lied about the figure. Well, we've got the lowest corporation tax, but let me deal with some of the points.
Mark's point was that Boris Johnson claimed today that Labour would introduce the highest corporation tax in Europe. Do you agree that's nonsense?
Well, I don't know what Labour would do in their second budget. They've already promised to increase it to 28%, I think, so it could go higher. But quite a lot, I disagree flatly with a lot of what Mark said.
What about Sajid Javid's claim in this document? I mean, independent experts, including Full Fact, have debunked a lot of it.
I was going to go this idea that it somehow underestimated the cost of nationalisation. Actually, it's almost the other way around. Labour claim that nationalising part of BT so that the internet would be run by the government, and that would be fun, wouldn't it?
But the double counting, the exaggeration...
That would cost $20 billion. Actually,
do you dissociate yourself from that?
No, I don't. BT said it would be at least double that, so I think they probably know how much they're worth.
Mark, do you want to come back?
Yes, I'll come back on that. Right, so I don't like being told I get my facts wrong because I work on facts. That's why I'm a floating voter. Right, you used the £196 billion number from the CBI for nationalisation. That's the number they came up with, saying that would be the cost for Labour to nationalise the industries it was planning to do. That number was then repeated in that document because of pledges that the Labour Party had made about nationalisation. You double counted it in that document. That is a fact. So don't tell me I have my numbers wrong. It's a total lie, and it seems to me that you're all following this new leader of yours who tends to say a lie every day.
Can I say gently, you don't sound like a floating voter, Mark. But the...
why not? Because he's committed to asking you questions.
No. Yeah, well, no, because he's just spraying the word lie around. But can I take...
But floating voters might well be concerned about the Prime Minister lying.
Can I take the point about the CBI? The CBI knows what... they're as good an independent observer as anyone on the cost of nationalisation. Yes, independent.
Okay.
I mean, they are. They've had rows with governments of all sorts. And the other point is whether or not we can count. The other point Mark made was that we shouldn't necessarily listen to policies that are merely committed to by the Labour Party conference, which has been one of the controversies about this document.
Well, wait for the manifesto. Why don't you cost it then?
Because the number of times I've heard Labour politicians sententiously say, "We are a democratic party. Our conference." We are a democratic party that listens to our conference. Well, if they do, these are just these
Go
are
on, Mark.
These are just the policies that
we can hear you making noises.
Hang on. I'm not going to accept this. Sorry. Right. So your Prime Minister, you've asked me to use the word lie. I spoke to Jo Simpson the other day on a national radio station, and I told her what I thought about her 1% surplus budget, and could she explain it? And she couldn't. So yes, I am a floating voter. So how dare you claim that I'm not? And I have voted for different political parties because I look at the facts. Your Prime Minister said that he's going to build 40 new hospitals. The facts, we know it actually means 6. Your Prime Minister said that he's going to spend £34 billion on the NHS. We know that in real terms that is $20 billion. He said he was going to spend £14 billion on education. We know for a fact that's £4 billion. So please don't accuse me of being anything than what I'm saying on this radio station. The only people I think the country are seeing who are consistently not telling us the truth, led by a leader who consistently won't tell us about what's in the Russian report, what Why didn't he declare his interest in that young lady, which is now being investigated? There must be at least 5 investigations around the Prime Minister at the moment, and he's still sitting there, and the Conservatives are letting him. And I'd be saying this if you were a Liberal, a Labour, or any other party.
OK, well, let me take the first point you make about the hospitals. What we've said, very, very openly, is that the first 6 of those hospitals will be built between 2020 and 2025, and that we are already committing the seed money to prepare to build the other 34 between 2025 and 2030.
Well, then don't say 40 new hospitals when we're coming up to an election.
Because there will be 40 new hospitals in the next decade.
Well, another 40 in 100 years. That's not the point.
No, the point is there'll be 40 in the next decade, and that was made perfectly clear when that announcement was made. So to attempt to say it's only 6 is just wrong. And also, we can argue about whether it's cash or real terms, but in the end, the 33.9 billion for the NHS is what will be being spent.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. I tried to give you as much time as possible, but we must go to the news now. 6:48. If you have a question for Damian Green, 0345 6060 973. Here's Holly with more news.
Party leaders have been pitching their general election pledges to business leaders at this CBI conference. 2 teenagers have been jailed for life for the murder of schoolgirl Jodie Chesney in a park in East London in March. There are growing calls for Prince Andrew to testify in the US about his late friend Jeffrey Epstein, who was a convicted sex offender. LBC weather very cold with clear skies across most of England, Wales and Scotland with a widespread frost. Also some fog patches, a low of between -4 and -9.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are queues on the M25 anti-clockwise to the Dartford Tunnel. 2 lanes are closed between Junction 3 for the M20 and Junction 2 for the A2 because of an accident. On the M20 eastbound, there are also delays. There's a lane closed because of an accident in the roadworks between Junction 3 for the M26 and Junction 4 for Leybourne. On the M40 southbound, there are queues from Junction 4 for High Wycombe to Junction 3 for Loudwater after an accident earlier on. In Romford on the A12, Eastern Avenue northbound, a lane stays closed after Pettit's Lane North because of a police investigation, so there are queues from the Moby Dick. And there are queues on the North Circular Road in New Southgate. There's a lane closed at Bounds Green Road because of emergency repairs.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
At 8, it's our cross-question minor parties debate, plus at 9, should Prince Andrew step back from his royal duties and retire into obscurity?
Ian Dale on LBC.
I wonder if I can get a plasma cutter for the warehouse.
I wonder if I can do up the function room just in time for the holidays.
iWalker means business loans without the wondering. Because at iWalker, we'll give you a decision when you need it.
iWalker if I can afford a director who'll take everything off my plate.
See how we can help your business at iWalker.co.uk. That's iwoca.co.uk. iWalker. Hassle-free loans for small businesses.
Each day you grab the keys, pop them in the ignition and off you go without a second thought. But what if the unpredictable happens and you wake up with something like a flat battery? You'd have been better off if someone had checked it all out, right? But that's going to cost you. What if the cost was nothing? Book a free checkup online and our experts will complete a 29-point visual check and top up vital fluids, no matter what make of vehicle you own. And we're so confident in our checks, we'll also give you 20% off your next service. How's that for peace of mind? Visit your local Vauxhall retailer and quote VX20. T's and C's apply.
I'm sorry, you have progressive memory loss.
When you hear these words, the outlook is bleak, but we're working to change that. We're Recognition Health, the brain and mind experts, and we're running clinical studies in London and Guildford. If you volunteer, you'll receive free access to a new generation medication, as well as comprehensive medical care. With your help, we can change the future of MCI, as in mild cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's disease.
You have progressive memory loss. But here's what we can do.
To find out more about Recognition Health and taking part, go to brainandmindexperts.com.
In the trade, sign up to Wix Trade Pro and get 10% off every time you shop with no minimum spend. Download the app to register. Always cheaper with Wix Trade Pro. Terms apply.
At Ring, we've reinvented the doorbell. So no matter where you are or what time of day, you can watch over your home and the things you care about. Ring Video Doorbell streams HD video and two-way talk straight to your phone, so you can speak to whoever's at your door from anywhere.
Delivery.
Oh, great. Could you leave it with my neighbour, please?
Sure, no problem.
And it's so simple, you can install it yourself in minutes. See, hear and speak to whoever's at your door from wherever you are with Ring Video Doorbell. Available at ring.com and selected retailers.
Did you know you can get real-time updates to find out when your bus is due? There are loads of mobile apps available, powered by TfL data, or you can visit our website. all of which make it easier than ever to plan your journey. Running for the bus may soon be a thing of the past. Search TfL improvements. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Millions of people are missing out by having a current account that doesn't pay them any interest on their hard-earned money. TSB offers interest to all their Plus account customers for no monthly fee. Plus, you can stop your friends and family missing out by recommending the Plus account to them. And when they switch, you'll both earn £75. Search online or visit your local branch. Terms and conditions apply.
LBC's Election Call with Eddie Mair.
Damian Green from the Conservatives is here, and Liam in Basingstoke has a question. Liam, hello, welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, my question to Damian is just basically, how can you sort of expect someone like myself to vote for Boris Johnson when he has his stance on homophobia with comments that he's previously made?
I'm not conscious anyone's ever criticised Boris for homophobia. In fact, I remember him as Mayor of London leading one of the Pride marches. So
what is it he said? What is it he said, Liam? Or can you paraphrase what he said? What was offensive to you?
It was essentially the comments about bum boys in Soho and referring them to things like that in relation to sort of comments about Peter Mandelson.
I don't ever remember those comments. I don't know whether they were in a column or something, but I do.
Well, even if they were, I mean, his columns are famously full of colourful phrases. Do you wish sometimes he wouldn't say them?
Well, I mean, that's the matter for him. Boris was a hugely successful journalist.
He's
before
the Prime Minister now.
Politics. He's the Prime Minister now. But I think the central point of Liam's question, which is a perfectly fair one, is Boris in any way homophobic? And the answer is absolutely he isn't. He's
No, it was more how can I support someone who is homophobic and has expressed those views and racist views? How can I support, or how can you ask people to support that person to be the Prime Minister?
But Damian Green's answer is he doesn't believe he is homophobic. He doesn't believe Boris Johnson is homophobic.
Or in any way racist. I mean, he just isn't. I mean, I know he isn't. As I say, as Mayor of London, I know he supported and I'm pretty sure participated in pride marches and things like that. He went out of his way to support the LGBT community. So I mean, the short answer to your question, Liam, is he's not at all homophobic.
What do you think of the answer, Liam? Liam, what do you think of the answer?
What is there has been said and printed, and that hasn't persuaded me to be able to vote for someone who has expressed those opinions in the past.
All right, Liam, thank you. John in Edinburgh is next. John, what's your question? Hello.
Hello, hi. I've listened to some of the answers, and I'm afraid that your guest is very wrong on a lot of the facts. However, my question is, notwithstanding the court judgment today about the ITV debate, your guest has said many, many times that he's a Democrat and he believes in democracy. So does he still believe in democracy in that they've only allowed two parties into this? Because a test of democracy is where other Democrats stand up and say, no, that's not the way, that's not the democratic way. We should listen to all and not enter into this two-party state that we seem to be heading for.
I mean, I think there are going to be lots of debates in various formats, including one with seven parties in it. So, I mean, in a sense, this is a matter for broadcasters as much as political parties. But it seems to me that, I mean, there are two separate things here. One is, of course, other parties should be and will be involved in some debates. But the truth is that on December the 13th, either Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn is going to be Prime Minister of this country. And since we've introduced TV debates, then inevitably the focus has been on the leaders, and the focus has to be on who is the Prime Minister.
We had a three-way debate in 2010.
Yes, and I think but there are other debates happening now in which the Lib Dems and the SNP and Plaid will be, and I think even the Brexit Party, I think, are going to be involved in some. I mean, the truth is, I don't know the details of how many debates there are and who is in them all, but I think every party that's standing a reasonable number of candidates in this election will be featured in one or more of the debates. But the essential point, and again, it's as I say, it's for the broadcasters, they suggested this format, is that on December the 13th, you're going to wake up either with Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister or Boris Johnson. And so having a debate between them seems a reasonable part of the democratic process.
John, thank you. Jacob next in Hitchin. Jacob, what's your question, please?
Hi, Damian.
Hi.
Hello, mate. I'm just wondering, you've got someone that's leading the party that on more than a handful of times, in fact, numerous times, has been proven to be a liar about lots of different issues. And your party seems to be lying day to day, week to week, just to get through to the next little part of whatever your grand scheme is. So I'm just wondering, why should anyone vote you and put your trust into what you're all saying you're going to do? Because the last 10 years, you've been cutting services, you're going to put more police officers on the street, but it still won't meet the standards and the amount of people that were there working as police when you came into office. So why now do you suddenly say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that? Where does all the money come from that you suddenly want to start throwing around?
Well, you've answered your own question. The money came from the responsible way we ran the economy from 2010 onwards. Britain was broke. It needed to be put back on an even keel. It is now back on an even keel. So the government can now choose where to spend the money, and we choose to spend it on the NHS, on the police, on education, where both in primary and secondary schools, every pupil will be guaranteed either 4,000 or 5,000 spent on them. Those are the priorities that we think the British people have for public spending. We can now afford to meet them.
If I may, one final caller. Ali, you're through. What's your question, please?
Yeah, my question is, the Prime Minister of this country, he has a big power. Why he need to lie every time he on his matches?
Which lies in particular concern you?
Today he said, and the Corbyn, he will tax like more. It's the biggest tax in Europe.
Right, that is a point we put to you, Damian Green, about corporation tax.
Labour have said they're going to put up taxes. All Labour governments put up taxes,
but not to the highest corporation tax level in Europe.
Not yet. Maybe not in the first.
But if they haven't announced something, so Boris Johnson is decrying something that he thinks might happen in future that no one said.
Well, what he said is that Labour is going to increase corporation tax hugely, which will damage the economy, damage business, reduce the number of jobs. I think it is a perfectly reasonable thing to point that out, particularly when a Conservative government since 2010 has reduced corporation tax and is seeing the benefits in the lowest level of unemployment we've seen for nearly 50 years.
Damian Green, thank you very much for being part of LBC's election call. Election call back tomorrow night from 6. I'll be here from 4 tomorrow. This evening on LBC, Tom Swarbrick's at 10. Now, here's Ian Dale.
Thank you, Eddie. The three party leaders have been addressing the CBI today, and the Conservatives have abandoned planned personal and business tax cut pledges. We'll be talking to the Cabinet Minister Brandon Lewis shortly. At 8 o'clock, it's Cross Question and our minor parties debate featuring UKIP, the SDP, the Liberal Party, not the Lib Dems, the Liberal Party, and Renew. Then at 9, we're steering away from the election and on to the royal family. I want to know that in the light of Prince Andrew's weekend interview with Emily Maitler, should he step back